across from each other, number one. And number two, I would put some more parking where we have stormwater management, just extend that row on up. I'm sure you're going to have vehicles sitting around. I mean, it's just future details. But that's what jumps out at me. I personally think you could get by without inlets and pipes. Save some money. Pavement swales.
You know, I've always said you ask two attorneys, you get two different opinions. You ask two engineers, you're going to get four different opinions. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Where does
You're
golf
welcome.
contours cut off?
You know, I've got to get up here.
The-
I cannot hear back there. You don't mind if I sit at this table here?
So the existing building, if we do nothing, what it says existing building is the Gulf Contours building.
Right.
I would want to, if Gulf Contours is to stay in that location permanently, we need to make those modifications to the site to keep it from encroaching into the fuel farm and also allow them to continue their day-to-day operations. This would allow truck traffic around the building, would allow parking to continue, but also allow our fuel trucks to park without having to back in, which is against our standard operating procedure, without two people, and give them a small temporary office. Hopefully we'll ultimately build them a new office.
I guess I wasn't clear on that question.
Yes, sorry.
Where does golf course Boulevard cut off? Because otherwise they're going to have, these guys are going to have to go across into the active road.
Ultimately, it's going to stop at Mooney.
It's going to stop at Mooney,
Yeah.
which is here. So they'll have free access onto the airfield. And then how would you, okay, and golf contours would be fenced out and their access would be through here.
The Mooney Avenue will remain public access. So that's, you know, obviously, this is not the final design
Yeah.
to Jim
It
and to
needs some
you.
work.
This is a conceptual layout. I don't want to pay engineers to do final designs for something that's not, you know, approved. There will be automated access gates. You know, is that driveway going to be 50 feet further down the road and more parking? I don't know. We have just started communications with the county on the closure of Gulf Contours and the extension of Challenger. You know, part of the master plan indicated that golf course needed to be relocated because it's within the RPZ.
Right.
And I feel that spending $1.5 million to relocate a road that will still be in the RPZ versus extending Challenger out to Piper, which we want all the traffic on Piper anyway to stay out of the residential area, would be the better way to go. But we have just, you know, the county has submitted a grant app years ago to do that. It was never processed by the state economic development, so we are just now starting communications with the county on what would be an abandonment of the right-of-way and an extension of Challenger. Challenger is a county-maintained and owned road on land that was donated by the airport.
Jim, the Challenger Boulevard was a Tiger grant, or basically are we talking the same grant process?
No, this
For
would,
this? No.
this would be part of our AIP grants. The AIP will pay to take the road out of the RPZ. This is a better solution. The FAA has agreed this is a better solution.
Okay. So, at the next board meeting, you probably want a board motion to go ahead and
I would-
design of the,
I would like to bring back the original proposal, which would be to engage a design team to build or design a new maintenance facility and operations facility, and at the same time, look at options, well, a separate item would be for options for a spec building.
you know, if I recall, the last board meeting, there was hesitancy on staff's part to bring that to the board because you were handicapped, not knowing what the eventual future of Mr. Goins' business.
Well, I mean, I think it would be irresponsible for us to build a $2 million facility without a long-term lease. I did look at rental rates, and we're, if the FAA is listening, we're at fair market value. We're slightly below fair market value. At $10.45 a square foot is about 50% less than our neighbors in the industrial park and their 40,000 square foot building. It is compatible with some places in Immokalee and North Fort Myers. So, I mean, it's justifiable. I think we can get FAA approval for it, especially if we put it on industrial park land. It's just, you know, we need to have negotiated leases in place before we start construction. On the larger spec building, we're going out for RFP on that. We have already, because of some, you know, conversations that we've had at the board level, we've had some interest in that already. So I think it's a good time to put people in space. It's not a good time to build, but we have never had the funds in the bank that would allow us to do this. I mean, this is not something we could have done even 5 years ago. So if the board's going to do it, I think now would be the time to apply some of our capital to speculative space, which has always been one of my goals, even when Gary hired me in 2004, 2005, was to, you know, develop the industrial park. I mean, we developed the roads in the industrial park. We got the infrastructure in place for water, sewer, all using other people's funding, and now I think the opportunity exists for us to start building it out.
Mr. Parrish, do we have long-term leases for the first spec building? Do we have those in place yet?
We do not. We have not even gone out, because we don't have a design. I don't want, this would be a custom build for the most part, if we went out and built something like this. So I would want to have, a smaller building, with a 40,000 square foot, I can do 5, I can do 10, I can do 20. With this building, it could be separated into 3 smaller units, similar to what is here. This has been a very difficult building. That's one of the reasons we built this inside of it, to lease out over the years. One of the problems is the bay height is way too low. But.
So you'll be asking us basically to go forward with the airfield maintenance building at the next board meeting, irrespective of what's going on with Gulf Contours? Irrespective
of Gulf Contours, whether that stays a landside function or gets incorporated into the airside.
You can go either way.
It can go either way. I will be honest, we are very, very short on space at this airport. The only airport storage space is in those 10 buildings that are in the old maintenance facility.
Okay. Moving on, any other questions on this subject? Okay. Moving on to the CIP update.
I just wanted to give you guys an update. The FAA has been fast and furious with their funding from the bipartisan infrastructure bill, and we have had to move projects around to meet their deadlines. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on what's going on. The taxiway Delta rehab, which the design had already been approved. We're moving forward with that. That has moved from a rehab to a reconstruction, exact same reason as runway 422. The base has failed. Rutting out there is in some areas, and we've done some repairs, are almost 2 inches deep. The new taxiway from the GA apron to taxiway Alpha, which is the extension of what is now Echo, but it'll be offset to stay out of the RPZ. That was in 2023. We're moving that design up to 22 so we can construct it in 23 based on, well, we may be able to construct it, you know, get the grant in place this year, but that's based on the new bipartisan infrastructure bill that's entitled to airports. We're going to get $4.3 million a year for the next 5 years. It's 90% money. We're going to put the first $6.5 million of that into taxiway from the GA. We don't have a name for it yet. We don't know what it's going to be called, but it's basically an echo extension. So on that, we're moving some perimeter road stuff forward. Part of that is to get fuel truck traffic to the new GA facility without crossing a runway. There's 2 phases of that. One's 200,000, a very small phase. The other is 3.1 million. Both of those are from the infrastructure bill. We're also doing, as the board previously approved, we're doing a terminal area plan to look at the terminal parking and jet parking around the terminal. We're looking to start the first phase of expansion with design in 23 of the terminal expansion. We have 1.4 million in the terminal request. This is separate from the other request for entitlement money, and there's 2 parts to this bill. Small hub airports like us get 20%. Large hubs get 70 and medium hubs get 10. I don't know how they came up with those numbers. So based on that, if you just divide by the amount of money, we should get about 18 million. We're asking for a little over 35. There are going to be some that don't need it. There are going to be some that can't match it. So that will be 2 phases of terminal expansion that'll happen, we hope, if everything falls into place in 24 and 25. Then we're also talked about we have a new ARF vehicle that we're going to need, just because every 15 years you're going to buy a new ARF vehicle. That's normal entitlement. That's been in our master plan. Realign taxiway Foxtrot. If you'll recall, in the master plan, there's taxiway F. Used to, that ramp was designed for C-130. It curved around the old CAP building. We're going to straighten that out since the CAP building blew away in 2004. That will also allow us to expand the ramp. We're going to do that with the bipartisan infrastructure money. And then we have 2 more parts of the terminal expansion, 14 million and 4.5 million, that'll wind down the bipartisan infrastructure bill terminal money as well as the other money. So they asked us for our 5-year plan. They gave us 2 weeks to put that together. So we had a few meetings. Fortunately, all of this stuff was already in the master plan. We've just moved it around to meet their funding. So I just wanted to give you an update. Because, you know, we didn't discuss this before the FAA required it. But nothing has physically changed. The dates have been adjusted.
Okay. Any questions on the additional federal funding coming this way?
Well, I will never say never.
Yeah. Okay, I know you have a meeting. I do have some questions or items to discuss. If you need to go to your meeting, I'm
No,